I know what you're thinking. What in the gosh darn is Bits and Bombs? Bits and Bombs is a podcast deep diving into what it takes to do stand-up from a different comedian every episode. Follow new open micer Peter Doms in his journey to be an okay comic.
Ooh, baby, I love your way. Every day. I'll be with you yonder. That's good. You like my shoes?
They're pretty. I've never been they're cool, but I've never been a Connie's person.
They're cool. Thanks.
Did you? Is that a constant bit that you?
I just really like these socks, and I never wear them. But when I do, I like wearing them in winter, so I can do that. I think it's funny.
Do you link it to other questions? Like, is it?
No. People are like, "Oh, hey, sorry, your grandma died." Thanks, bro.
And I get sorry for your lost socks. I'll be ready.
That's pretty good. That's goofy.
Jam, when was your first... What?
We're not starting it like that.
All right. No, I'll leave in the sock. Here.
That's the after the credits. You can crop that for the end.
Crop it for the end.
Yeah, you edit it and then you jam it right at the end.
No, I usually just leave the bullshit at the beginning.
Oh dear. Well, that's going to be an alarming start to the podcast. Hello, Peter.
Hey.
Hey.
How's it going?
Yeah, good.
That's good.
How are you?
Pretty good.
Oh.
Yeah. When was when was your first gig?
My first gig. What kind?
Stand up.
First stand up?
Wait. What other type of gigs we got? Let's jump into the other gigs.
The first time I was on stage doing something that I wrote was 2018, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It was a student theatre festival. Maybe it was before then. Student theatre festival, and that wasn't good. The first time I enjoyed it was I wrote the show that I wrote was just about love broadly, and then I wrote a 10-minute version of it where I did it at a Wham Bam Cabaret Slam, and I have a Mad Lib love letter because I was like, love letters are easy, people don't do it often enough. I think that's bullshit. We should do heaps more of that. So I wrote a love letter, but I just left out like the eye color, the favorite flower, all that stuff, and I just grabbed an audience member, filled it in for them, and then like got to woo them on stage.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
It was cute. The first time I did it to make fun of how easy it is to write a love letter.
Yeah.
And then when I read it, the person was so touched that I had to pivot the whole bit because they were like...
Because you kind of...
I can't make fun of them. They turned up for me, so I couldn't make fun of them anymore.
And like you prove your point, but you couldn't be like, I prove the...
Yeah, I'm like, see how easy that is, you fucking idiot.
You dumb.
I just you're in love with me now, you dipshit. I couldn't do that. They were so nice to me. They told me their favourite colour. So I went, and that's how easy it is, and we should do that more. The end. I just had to like rewrite the next 5 minutes. But then I got to do it at a cabaret thing, and that was fun.
Mm-hmm.
And my first stand-up gig, I think, officially... was Brat Pack of 2019, which would have been October.
Yeah. How'd that one go?
It's pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, made the final. And I don't really... Joe Gowder won.
Yeah.
We love Joe. So Joe won. And the final was great. It's crazy. Every time it pops up in my memories, I'm like, oh... There's fewer and fewer of those people still performing.
Who was in the finals?
Joe. We had Francesca Rossi Price. I think Zach made the final. I know Henry and Bryce Lancaster did it that year. It's crazy. Andrew Crane.
I know the name.
I want to say Marcus Thorpe.
Oh, Marcus Thorpe.
I think.
Okay.
I know Taylor Edwards is in that photo, but I think she was one of the judges. I could find it. Unless you don't want...
No.
You just sorry, I just have to... I'll just be a minute. Oh, I've got a Facebook memory. Oh, apparently I've just been really into oh God, that's embarrassing. I keep getting Facebook memories, which in itself is pretty embarrassing, right? But they're all from a period in like grade 11 or 12 where I was really into Doctor Who.
Oh, I have.
So every time I get one, I don't delete them. I want them there, like, for me, so I know. But I edit the privacy so that only I can see it. So
I should do that. That's smart.
if you were to stalk my profile, I don't think you would find it, but it's still pretty nasty to get them and just be like, oh, remember?
Yeah, there's like a selfie of me wearing a Tom Baker scarf at around that time, like 2013.
Yep, these things happen.
It happens, you know. We all accidentally fall into Doctor Who.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. I'm just scrolling on my phone on your podcast now, and I'm looking for that Brat Pack photo. Storytelling night I did one time.
Oh, sick.
It's a cool jacket. I don't own that jacket anymore. This is riveting podcasting, isn't it? Hey, listen to this bitch scroll. What have I been up to? There it is. There's the bloody photo. So we got Joe Gowder, we got Zach Hadfield, we got Fran, that's Nat, Bryce. Yeah, wow. There's some other lovely people in that photo, and I'm not entirely. I don't. Tom Monley, he's in there, in the middle there. Well, that'll be a fun edit for you. It was so worth it to find a photo to realise that I was, in fact, just already correct. So Brat Pack was pretty cool. And then I just kept at it.
Just kept at it. And here we are. And that's the pot.
Here we are. That's the baby. Yeah. It's wild.
So is stand-up... So where did, like... You've done some other performing, like, quite a bit, or...
I mean, I was in choirs and stuff.
Yeah,
like, I always wanted to be in front of people, but I was just the most nervous person on the planet. Like, I just got so anxious about everything that I couldn't, like, be in front of people. I always wanted to make stuff. So when I came out of high school, my top two preferences were go and work backstage in theatre or go and do game design.
Mm-hmm.
And it was harder to get into the theatre one. So I put my portfolio in and I got in. Mm-hmm. So I was like, great. So I went and studied to be a like lighting and sound technician and a stage manager and production manager and stuff. So that's what my degree is in.
Yep.
And I watched a lot of people on stage and went, I reckon I could do that.
Yeah.
And stand-up was the quickest way to do that. It was the, like, shortest pipeline, right? Like, if you're in a theatre show, even saying it like that sounds wrong. If you're, like, you know, a work of theatre, right? You've got a writer, a director, a cast, a lighting designer, a sound designer, a production designer, a costume designer, a producer. You have to find the venue. You've got all these things that you have to do. It's like just teams and teams of people. Stand up, it is you and a microphone. Like you are writing, directing, performing. And it doesn't... I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing that it doesn't go through the process of, you know, you write and then you... have to, that gets edited by someone, or you have a dramaturg look at it if you're working in theatre. Like, it doesn't have any of those extra steps, so there's like way fewer barriers to...
there's no theatre open mic.
No, but that means that everything that they do is like vetted and refined and practiced, and those are all good things. And not having that is freeing, but it also means that you have to bear the weight of all of those mistakes when you fuck it up. Like, you don't have anyone else to blame, which is weird to be like, I'm a really nervous person and I thought that I would do all of the jobs. I'm just going to do all of it. That's so normal. But yeah, I saw a lot of theatre and I wanted to do it, and I like being on stage. And I don't regret any of my choices. Oh no. That's, yeah. What else have I done performing wise? I mean, nothing cool and fun. I haven't like been in bands and stuff. I was in band in high school, but I haven't been in bands. Like, I think that's a very different thing.
Yeah, it's a completely different lifestyle, yeah.
Yeah, I'm with the band, the stage band.
Yeah, it's like being in like a motorcycle club and like a cycling club.
Yeah. Oh, bless. That's a mess. Like, yeah, I skate. It's like, oh, that's sick. You like a little skateboard and fiend. It's like, no, I roller skate. I go to the rink.
I listen to Xanadu.
Yeah, my friends are all 40. Oh, bless them. Where were we going with that?
Yeah. So just basically like early stages of like performing and things like that. And like, has stand-up always been a thing you've wanted to try?
I think I always knew it was an option.
Mm-hmm.
Like, my mum was a comic for about 10 years, and I think knowing that meant that I knew it existed. Like, we, as a family, we would watch the gala. Like, we would tape the gala every year and watch it. I remember watching, like, old ass, like, when they aired Raw, we'd watch Raw. Like, properly tape it. And then sit down as a family and watch it. We had a VCR for like way too long.
Up until 2 years ago.
Way too long. My sister and I went through all of the old videos and stuff that we've got at Mum's, and like hers still works. So we were just watching the like Where's Wally cartoon on tape. It was so good. Step back. We would tape the gala and watch that as a family, which was cute. And like Mum would watch like Good News Week and stuff.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
I have these like vivid memories of sneaking out of my room to like watch Good News Week, but I was like in the hallway, so I was watching it on like a 30-degree angle. I'm like, fucking God. Paul McDermott's really onto something. And then just like scurry back to bed during the ad break. So I was like, there's something that I was really drawn to about just people being funny for the sake of making people laugh because that's what they were good at. That always really appealed to me. I don't know. There was just something about making people feel nice. Just having a little giggle and telling stories, right? Like, it was either going to be theatre or games or something. But yeah, stand up having the quickest turnaround from like thought to that, you know, first
like
time that you have that like spark of something, that it's the shortest possible turnaround between that and it hitting its audience.
Yeah.
Like, it hasn't got the development timeline of a game. It hasn't got, you know, the team behind it that theatre does, and it's just this sometimes instant thing, which is so cool. Like, there's nothing like it.
Yeah.
There's nothing like it. And it's weirdly intimate. I know that sounds strange, but it's like everything I've ever written and made, that's been an important thing. It's just like making people feel like they're all in the same room, all in, like we're all in on the joke, like we're all just in this moment only exists for this handful of people right now. And that's kind of beautiful to me, that it's fleeting. Like, it's gorgeous, and you don't get to do that with anything else. It's weird to be like, I think stand-up's quite intimate, and it's like what people think stand-up is like just guys yelling about cum.
Yeah. And
I'm like, ooh.
And like, well, even like going to live shows and stuff, like the amount of people that haven't been to live stand-up, like I hadn't been to shows until like a few years ago now. It was like 2015, but like I watched heaps of specials before that, and like
so different.
It's so different, and like you're right with like the intimacy thing, because it's like it's such a, you know, straight away if that joke or that person's not doing well because they're not laughing, and it's like
vibe.
Yeah, where like I guess if it's like going to like parties or like the lawn party type things where like there's musicians playing music.
Yeah.
People are talking to each other, no one really gives a shit. That performer is not like, there's nothing coming back on that person playing the guitar. That no one's paying attention really. No one cares. But if you're a comedian and people are talking like you're fucking doing not great, like everyone instantly knows that you know that you're doing bad, and that's I think the other end of it. It's like if you're doing great, it's like, oh, we're all in this together. But then it's like that disconnect can happen.
Yeah.
If they're not into it.
Yeah. Honestly, I think that's where years of customer service experience comes in handy, right? That it's like establishing a rapport like that is something that I was trained to do working at Lush for 6 years. And I don't want to say thank you to them at all, but like it rewires your brain a little bit to be like, if you spend long enough in customer facing jobs, you don't fear social rejection anymore.
Yeah.
You're like, well, this is like on one end of it, I love every person in every crowd ever. I'm like, I just want us to all be friends, and I want you to like everything that I say.
Yeah.
The other end of that is I don't know you. I didn't know you before, and I'm not going to know you once we leave this building. So you don't care if I live or die. I find that it's bizarre to have those two things exist in your head at once. It's very weird. The music to comedy thing is like something I've genuinely been thinking about recently because a bunch of my family saw me perform for the first time recently. And I, like cousins that I haven't seen since the last time they saw me, I was doing a colouring book.
Oh, wow.
Like it was... I told Jack Knight that, and he goes, "Oh, so last week."
So I was about to make a similar joke, and I was like, "Nah, I'll leave it."
He's like, "I'm too nice a guy." Yeah. So I haven't seen these guys in years. To clarify, it has actually been years. So I haven't seen them in years, and they just saw me do like 5 minutes about. I'm like, "Oh, wow, awesome." My family knows heaps about my pussy now. That's great. I'm so proud of that. That's excellent. And I just got scared that if they didn't enjoy it, do they now think that they don't like comedy? Like, if they see me, and I think about this at kind of every gig now. I'm like, what if someone watches me perform and doesn't like what I do, and they think that means they don't like stand-up?
Yeah.
If they've never seen it before.
So
and it's because there's this like total lack of awareness, like you were saying, that people don't go to live shows.
Yeah.
Or a lot of people haven't been to a live show. It's like everyone's heard music. So if my cousins had come to see me do an open mic at a pub, right, and I happened to be a pretty good country singer, and they just didn't like country music, they could appreciate there's some skill there. It's not for me.
Yeah.
I just don't like country music. But people don't have that literacy when it comes to stand-up or when it comes to comedy, because stand-up sits within that even, and it's all so like undefinable. Like you're like, there's stand-up, there's clown, there's alternative comedy.
Yeah.
Which
what is going on?
No, it's like there's such wild, loose definitions that if people just see something that they don't like, I'm always scared that they're going to think that it's not for them, but it's.
Oh, so you're. It's really interesting that you're more worried about turning people off of the craft rather than not liking you. That's incredibly arrogant when you put it like that.
I'm worried that I'm going to make people hate comedy. But honestly, thank you for that perspective shift. That's real useful. I don't know.
But I feel okay. So I feel.
Do you worry about these things?
I worry about. So I have like I started a new job recently. Everyone's like, "Oh, we'll go see you," and I'm like, "Yeah." That they've wanted me to do stand up at they wanted to do a talent show, and I'm like, "No, I'm not doing stand up in a work environment." My previous job, they asked me to perform at the Christmas party. I'm like, "No, I'm not doing that either," because I'm not going to be the guy that bombed at the work Christmas party. However, I don't care if people from work go see me at a show because I feel like that's my kind of environment, if that makes sense. Like,
sure.
Rather than bombing in work or something like that, it's an environment that I'm I feel like I don't fit in, especially if you're the only comic where there's no MC and you're not setting up that that kind of precedent for
you're a comedian. Prove it.
Yeah, prove it. Make us tell us a joke. Classic. What a line. But and that's the same. That's the same thing. I'm like, I'll come to a show, but it has to be one I tell you because we do some interesting shows. We do some interesting shows.
And sometimes those shows are for learning.
Yeah. And oh, so much. If you're not laughing, you're learning.
If you're not laughing, you're learning. You either win or you learn. You either crush or you learn.
Yeah, but I feel like some of those shows, I'm like, oh, please don't. I did a show recently, and the crowd, they just come from England the night before. They're like, we've never seen stand up before. We saw this ad, and then after the show, I was like, hey, because he was a fan of all the podcasts. I was like. I recommended some clubs and stuff. I was like, here's some real... And then he thought I was putting myself down by being see some real comedy that isn't me. But I just meant see a real show that is MC'd, where the show we're at wasn't MC'd, and that's a whole thing in itself. But...
Oh, fascinating.
Yeah.
It's wild to think that we might have the power, but that also does feel very arrogant. I don't think I've ever... gone up and done my thing as well as I can do it, and someone has seen that and gone, I'm never coming to a comedy show ever again. That's really good. I'm going to remind myself of that. Thank you. That's, genuinely, I'm going to, whenever I freak out about bombing, I'm like, well, okay, but you're the only one that feels bad about that.
Yeah. And
I'm not going to actually especially if you're on a fucking lineup show.
Well, that was my next point. I said, if you're in a lineup show, the good thing about if a lineup show is well curated, there's someone on that lineup for everyone. So it's hey, they didn't like the guy talking about concrete and video games, but there's someone else that they're going to resonate with. And that's the good thing about lineup shows. So, don't stress about it.
I'm not even thinking of a specific show. This is just a general anxiety that I have. It's just a vibe I have that I just deserve to be stressed about.
A weight I carry on my shoulders.
It's just a thing that I think I should be stressed about at all times is everyone has to like me. And if everyone doesn't like me, then I have done something wrong, obviously. That's not about comedy anymore. That's my therapist. Oh, people you don't really want to turn up at a show.
Oh, is that... That's a story.
The therapist fully came to the Raw State final.
Surely that's a breach. No,
it's not because in fact, we had just spent an hour talking about people pleasing. So when I said, I have this big thing, oh my God, you should come.
Oh, okay.
I thought I was joking. And then she emailed me to let me know that she would be there. And I didn't object. And then I saw her and she did not approach me. She did nothing wrong. She did not approach me. And then we didn't talk about it at the session.
Oh.
Because I didn't want to.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I was like, okay. So... totally fine. But also, what? If my colleagues had come to see me at any point, I think that would have been pretty weird, right? Like, that would have been weird because then you have to go into work and then they're like, oh, I was paying attention. Let me quote your jokes back at you. Because you get that enough.
Yeah.
Like, if you ever have friends and stuff, they're like, oh, I really like that. I can't imagine going back to an office where cunts are doing that at you. Sorry.
Oh, no. We can say this is cunt is allowed on this podcast. Go off. Drop as many.
I just got so scared for no reason. But yeah, I can't imagine going back to an office where people are just quoting your bits back at you. That sounds exhausting.
Yeah, I've had that happen a bit.
Like, fucking therapist quoting my closer at me. I'm like, babe, I don't need like, co-workers are bad enough. And I'm like, you know so much about me. You know every reason that those jokes are funny to me. Like, you know too much. I don't think that should be allowed. Like, there's rules around, you know, how you interact outside of a session and stuff. And she didn't break any of those rules.
Yeah.
I think there should be separate rules if you're a comedian. Sorry. We should be a protected class. When it comes to, like, therapists and stuff, especially your psych. Like, they shouldn't be allowed to know you. I don't think I should know what my therapist thinks of me. Hot take. I don't think you should know what your psych actually thinks about. I shouldn't have, like, a value judgment or, like, a character judgment. I should not know what my psych thinks.
Yeah, just
but
like...
I know that I'm her favorite, and that's not like, that's not a healthy relationship to have. Oh no. Oh, but you know, maybe I put her onto comedy. Maybe now she's like, wow. This
she starts
is
disclosing all of.
Oh god. Like, she starts telling me insane stuff that's happened in her week just so that she can, like, get into a bit.
Yeah.
There's one bit that I did right that is about her. Just it's literally just that she thinks I'm autistic. Which is
yes, yeah.
Which is cool. I was just about to tell you another weird story, but we don't have to do that. It's not about comedy. Oh no, it kind of is.
If you want to say it, say it.
Oh no, it's just goofy. I
goofy.
got referred to. I had a 4-hour phone conversation with my mum where she's like, "Hey, here's every reason from your entire life that I think you might be on the spectrum." Which, if you've met my mum, a totally normal thing for her to do. Actually,
yeah.
It's very Lee. So we had this huge phone conversation, and I went, okay. So I went and got a referral, and I went to the appointment for the assessment, and it was already a little, not shifty, but he didn't, like, I didn't have to bring anything. I didn't need, like, he didn't ask, like, my family anything. We just sat down and started having a bit of a chat. And he goes, well, what do you do? And I'm like, oh, I work in retail. And he's like, okay. Well, what do you do outside of that? I'm like, oh, I started doing stand-up. And he's like, oh, there's no way you're autistic. Because you do stand-up. There's no way. I'm like, hey, brother, have you met comedians?
Yeah, have you met any?
Have you met?
Yeah.
Have you seen us?
That was like something I was like, yeah, most of, especially like in the last, like, we're all neurodivergent. The amount of like...
That's it. It's like you can't possibly be anywhere on that spectrum because you can talk to people. I'm like, I'm telling you that I prefer prepared, mediated conversations with groups of people.
Yeah.
Where they cannot respond.
Yeah, like...
And he's like, nah, that's actually heaps normal. I'm like, in fairness, you survived medical school, so...
Yeah.
You show me a doctor, I'll show you someone who's... They're on there.
Yeah. There's so much, like, I've noticed that in the last, like, 6 months to a year, like, the amount of gear that, material people are doing about, like, being on the spectrum or, like, neurodivergent, it's cool. Like, it's kind of cool that there's like an open conversation about it.
It is. I kind of feel like it's, I don't know. It's like the new gay, right?
Yeah, I've been trying to write this bit about comparing like ADD and ADHD to like Crocs. It's like 10 years ago, like you didn't tell anyone about that. Like it was just like, and now everyone's like, oh, I wear Crocs and I'm ADHD. Yeah, I'm proud of it.
I'm proud of my Crocs, and it used to just be like weird.
Yeah, a weird thing, and now they're wearing it in public.
Just like the strong silent type that stand in the corner, like work in a kitchen. That's the people that used to wear Crocs.
Strong silent
type.
Strong
just
silent
like,
type.
I'm just a line cook and I'm really good at it.
I feel it's an anecdote of one guy you've met.
It's the other people that I knew Crocs before
Yeah.
they got cool was just people that, like the cloggy one. Anyway.
Yeah, fair.
Oh, how far we've come. This is going to be such a fun edit for you. I don't know.
It's all I edit sometimes, but
do I have to do a slur so that you have to listen to it? I'll just drop a slur so that you have to go back and edit the whole thing.
Oh, like the one that you said before we recorded, or
I'll never tell. Imagine if I turned my mic off.
turn your mic. Oh, that would.
Imagine if I had.
If you had,
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
that'd be.
You'd be able to tell though, right?
I hope so.
would.
Yeah.
I'm the bottom line. I'm the bottom line. My legs look so long, and my pants. I've just looked at the screen here. So I've been sitting like this, and how crazy does that look? I'm just a blob, and it looks like my legs are on backwards.
Now we're both doing it.
But these are so dark that it's actually they actually don't look like they're attached. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have had a coffee. That's great. So comedy, love it. It's for everyone, even if you're not for everyone. That's what I've learned. Man.
Who was your favourite stand-up growing up?
Favorite stand-up? I didn't watch a lot of specials. Like, I watched The Gala and loved it.
Yeah.
And I remember... I love Nina Conti. I didn't get to see her show in Melbourne, but I remember really loving Nina Conti when I was young. I wasn't getting emotional. I just had to do a silent woman burp there. So sorry. Who did I love? I loved Claire Hooper, Cal Wilson. And then when I actually started watching... I hate that I'm about to say this. Bo Burnham.
Yeah.
I love Bo Burnham. I've got a real soft spot. Especially for someone to go from like YouTube and Vine and stuff to killing it is very cool. I think the strangest combination of specials I've ever watched in a day. I will preface this with I was quite sad, so I watched both of Tig Notaro's specials that are on Netflix. And then I watched Nanette.
I was, if I had a bingo card, and I was about to say Nanette.
Like, there's two Tig Notaro specials, and then Nanette, and then Douglas.
I haven't seen Doug.
So, like, two Tig, two Hannah Gadsby, and then to cap it off, Tom Whitcomb's special that he put on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, real.
That's like the... That's
I
a
had to
complete
balance it
180.
out.
Yeah.
Far left... And then the other one. I don't think Tom Whitcomb's a right-wing comedian. No. I want to clarify. That's not a belief that I have. It was real funny. That's just a day that I spent. I really enjoy watching Heggie perform. Like Luke Heggie and Chris Ryan. Love them. I think their writing's really fun. And I got to see so much in Melbourne. Like I got really lucky. I think the first 5 days I was there, I saw 15 shows, which is too many. Like that's too many shows.
How many? Actually, so we'll go into the Melbourne stuff soon. But how many like shows did you watch the whole run?
20. It wasn't quite 30, I don't think. I had a couple of days off. I'm checking my calendar because I put them all in my calendar. They're like little blue notches. So that's 3, 6, 9, 12.
And you went to that Polish clown, didn't Furioso?
I think it was 26 or 27. That's heaps.
Yeah, that's so much.
I did see Furioso.
How was that? I keep hearing
wild.
like
It's
just through like other comics.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's like you kind of can't describe it. Did you talk to Harry about it, or had he not seen it?
He hadn't seen it.
He hadn't
yeah,
seen it.
he hadn't seen it.
Before he was down. Oh man, because he
was really
into
Yeah.
it. He even he's the loveliest man on the planet.
Yeah.
So of course he made friends with this Polish clown.
Yeah.
Piotr was lovely. I got to have the smallest conversation with him, and I would die for him. Yeah, it was nuts. I walked out of that show going like, well, I want to quit. He did that. He made all of those people feel that and didn't say a word. I couldn't do that in an hour with all of the words that I have.
Oh, he
Like,
didn't. He didn't even talk.
it was like wordless clown for an hour.
Oh wow.
Which is wild. It just meant that everyone walks away feeling something a little bit different, right?
That's cool.
Which was so beautiful. He's so clever. But largely indescribable. It's a vibe.
I saw like photos with him like red paint or something on his face.
Oh
and,
yeah,
like,
that was towards the end.
Yeah.
There was a police chase. So he ran up and he had a helmet with a little light on top and he popped it on someone. So the night that I went and saw it, Jenny Tian was the cop.
Uh-huh.
I know Grace Hogan when they went to see it, Grace was the cop. But yeah, you just get roped into shenanigans with this fella for an hour, and it's beautiful. It's like it goes from like it's like off the wall rock star shit, and then it takes such a turn that I was like, we were crying by the end of it.
Wow.
Yeah, and I don't know if any of it's going to be a spoiler, but it's beautiful, and it was a wild thing to have that be the first show that I saw.
Oh wow! So that was the
So
first.
I arrived at 11 o'clock. Oh no, maybe sorry. I saw it the first night that I was out. It was not the first show I saw. Woodhead's show was the first show I saw. It was very good.
Oh yeah, sweet.
Yeah, I arrived at 11 the night before. I went into the city with my dad. Saw Woodhead's show with my dad, and then got straight ran out, jumped on a tram, straight out, ran into everyone I know in the foyer, and went, okay, well, this is going to be fun and interesting. Let's go. And it was fun and interesting, and it was like it just set up the couple of weeks really beautifully. Had a nice time.
Cool.
I love Clown Show. And then who else did I enjoy? We're talking about favorite stand-ups. I loved. I really loved Luca Muller's show. I saw Cambo. Sam Campbell.
Yep.
Obviously very good.
Mm-hmm.
I can't pick. There were so many goofy, wonderful things that I saw.
Yeah, I'm really bummed. I was supposed to go to Melbourne this year, and I had an artist pass lined up, but I lost my job and couldn't afford to. Luckily, I was able to still afford Adelaide.
Yeah.
But the actual where I was performing, I had my own shows, but I really just wanted to go and hang out and watch shows in Melbourne. So
it was pretty cool.
Yeah. Hey, there's next. I'll just go next year, but
You just go next year. There'll be another gorgeous, fabulous thing that everyone's talking about next year.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the nature of the beast.
Mm.
Oh, unless he does a return season. Oh, that would be so lovely. I hope he gets to come back.
I feel like he had to add. He extended his flight and added shows and stuff.
Yeah,
it was
wild. And then he's they just announced shows at the Hollywood Fringe, so he's doing it in LA.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
that's cool.
I don't know anyone there, but if you're in LA, you need to go see Furioso. It's bonkers. So beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
It's not until like June or something. So
Yeah.
I genuinely, I sent it to a couple of people. This is bizarre. I've just been watching a lot of stuff on Dropout, like the college humor platform. I've been watching a buttload of stuff on Dropout, and that has led me to develop a parasocial relationships with every single cast member, which is deeply uncool, and I know that. But there's one of them mentioned the DMs always being open, and I was like, cool, in the least horny way possible, you need to go and see it. Just apropos of nothing, just like sending this guy's show, sending Furioso's promo to people that I know who like weird comedy, who are in that state. Like, that's nuts. That's a weird thing to do. But if it gets him one ticket sold, then it's good karma. That's all. He's a nice man and he deserves nice things. My little guy.
So, okay, so we talked about like Brat Pack.
Yes.
That like, first gig. What was like the progression after doing like Brat Pack and stuff? Like,
We really got sidetracked. Sorry, man.
no, that's all good. We're having a yarn.
It's a vibe. What was the progression after that?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, that was 2019. So, for the couple of years after that, a lot of borders were shut. A lot of interstate acts couldn't get in. So I was gigging. I got pushed pretty hard at the start there. And I had a lot of opportunities, which was excellent. I ran a girls' show, I ran Tits Up with sweet Francesca Rossi Price for a little while, which was quite fun. I really enjoyed emceeing, but with someone. I liked having a co-host, and especially because I was so fresh.
Yeah.
That emceeing was a bonkers thing to be doing. But when you have someone as like bombastic and confident and charismatic as Fran to play off, it definitely became like a funny man, straight man thing. I've never thought of myself as a straight man, but here we are. So we had a lot of fun doing that. And then I took some really huge breaks. Like it's popped up already. I have a very close relationship apparently with my therapist. I've got a psych and we're pretty tight, and that I'm a nervous person who has literally never backed themselves. So it doesn't take much for me to get, or historically, I'm doing better now, but historically it hasn't taken much for me to get discouraged. So it would just take like a couple of bad gigs or a couple of people saying like less than lovely things, and I would be out of it for like 6 weeks, 3 months.
Oh, wow.
I really took stuff to heart. I'm getting all weepy. I'm sorry. I have so many feelings and so much caffeine in me. I took some huge breaks, and I'm not stoked about it.
Yeah.
And it just meant that like I would see people who started after me overtaking me, and I would start to feel really like gross and entitled about it. And then I'm like, well, you've never actually tried.
Yeah.
Like when like I don't have any like ill will towards anyone that's doing well, because they're putting in the work, they're fucking doing it. And all I did for a really long time is let it get to me, like let the hits get to me and sit and feel bad about it, and not actually try to be a better writer or be a stronger performer or even figure out what that looked like or start moving towards that. I spent a long time just being really scared and sad. So that was my progression. And I sort of decided this year that I was going to get my shit together. So I had a bit of a rubbish January. because I've been around long enough that Raw has come around a few times, and everyone's like, oh, are you doing it this year? Are you doing it this year? Are you doing it this year? And I had never entered Raw because I couldn't take the hit. Like, I genuinely, my heart, my ego, I could not have taken the hit of losing Raw any other year. And January of this year, I lost my job. The next day, my partner and I broke up. And then a week later, my grandmother died. So I went, oh, that's pretty rubbish. And I went, what else have I got to lose? And entered Raw. I signed up for the heat a week after my grandmother died. Because I'm like, man, everything's on fire. Everything's on fire. And I went, well, yeah, the job's pretty bad, but then I had a breakup to deal with. And I went, well, that's pretty bad, but then I had the death of a family member to deal with. So I'm like, well, in the face of those things, you lose an open mic competition. Oh, well.
Yeah.
And then I just kept not losing.
Yeah.
And it's such a bizarre thing to go oh, I actually just decided that I wanted something for literally the first time in my life, and it went pretty much as well as it could have gone. Yeah. Which is, I'm trying not to let get to my head. Yeah. I'm really scared about what that means for my ego in the future, that I now think I'm capable of anything. Yuck. And it was crazy. So, the heat went well, and then the semi went well, and then the state final went well, and then the national final was so sick. I had the coolest time. Yeah. And now, I mean, now everyone's like, oh my God, what are you going to do next? What's next? And I'm like, good. That's a great question. Yeah. I don't know what my progression looks like from here. If that was going to be your next question.
But it was actually really cool to see the Raw kind of heats go one by one this year, because so last year I did Raw and I saw you rock up to sit down and I was like, oh fuck, Jam's in my heat, and I already kind of calculated, I don't know, I always assess who is kind of going to get through out of the 4 or 5 spots, and you made it 5, and I was like, nah, I'm done. And I said that to you, and you were like, no, shut up, oh, whatever, you didn't, you were and then it was cool.
I was also not competing last year.
Yeah.
I was just vibing and being a little supportive girlfriend last year.
But yeah, so when I found out you weren't competing, that's when I was like, oh, phew, okay, cool. I have a shot. And that's when you were like, oh, shut up. But yeah.
That's so lovely.
And then it was cool this year is when I was talking to you about, you're like, I'm entering it and I'm going to go in with the mentality that I'm going to win. And when you said that, I was like, she's going to fucking win. That made me believe it. I don't know,
it's such a weird thing, because I find, I was listening to Rachel's episode before I came. I had it on 1.5 speed, while I was showering. I'm like, wow, it's a really good point, Rach. That when you don't back yourself, a crowd can feel it. Yeah. And that's so true, and it can have such a devastating impact on the vibe. But if you do back yourself, they can feel it as well. It doesn't, I don't think it's as impactful. You can't get through on just confidence. But some people do. You just,
absolutely.
You just back the shit out of yourself, it's wild what it does. But it was also the first time that I'd really sat down and, I knew my set inside out. I do it on I do that 5 on autopilot now, which I don't enjoy. So I do try and I can do it on autopilot. I don't, because it feels gross too. Yeah. But yeah, if you just backing yourself, which is such esoteric fucking advice. It's you just have to believe. But why not? Hey.
Yeah, absolutely.
I literally had it written on my mirror.
Yeah.
So I do my little morning pages. I haven't been doing them this week, which is why I know that I'm like a little sad. I'm in my little depression wave, right? I'm like, oh, I haven't been writing. Oh, that's bad. But I will, most days, I'll get up and I'll do my little 3 pages of long form stream of consciousness, get shit out of my head. And then if I go through that, I'll find some stuff that I'm like, I definitely need to talk to my therapist about that. And I'll find other stuff that I'm like, that could be a premise, and we'll just pop that in the other notebook, right? But if you were to do the artist's way, you would end that with like a series of creative affirmations. And for the 3 months in the lead up to Raw, no matter what I would write about for the other 3 pages, the last line of all of it was, and I'm going to win Raw.
Yeah, wow.
Every morning for months was like, yep, I'm going to do this and win Raw. I'm going to do this and win Raw. And it feels mental to say that. And it's because that's obviously a thing that I did in private just to fight my own anxiety. But I spent a long time being like, we were talking about, I was a stage manager and stuff, right? And I spent a lot of time preparing contingencies. So if something went wrong, I needed to be ready for anything that went wrong, which is perfect because that's exactly how my anxiety works. Is I know everything that could possibly go wrong at every moment. I've got all the exits in this place mapped out. I operate there, and I realized that maybe I was really prepared, or maybe I had been planning to fail for 26 years. I haven't been conscious for that long. Maybe I'd been planning to fail for a really long time.
Yeah.
And I went, what would happen if you just planned to succeed like once? If you just planned, like you prepared yourself for the possibility of things going well, things going right. And I just did that. And that for me just looked like I put it on my mirror. So I saw it every day, and I like put it in my journal every day. And it sounds wanky, but it's like, I just went, well, I stopped saying what's the worst thing that could happen. I said, what's the best thing that could happen? What's the best version of this? How cool would it be? And it worked.
Yeah. My mum listening to this is going to be like, I told you so, because she always tells me about that stuff.
But it's so...
Yeah.
Even saying it, like, I'm not... You can tell I don't feel confident saying that, even though I've done it and it kind of worked. It's like, it still feels so goofy, but I could talk about it now because it's fine. It also would have been fine because I hope I wasn't a bitch about it. I think every time I was like, yeah, no, I'm going to win. But I said that to other people at the heats, like obviously just people I'm friends with, but like I had that conversation with Lloyd Bendel, right? Where I was like, I'm going to win. And he's like, that's cool that you think that, but I'm going to win. I'm like, good. Thank you. I'm glad you also have that attitude. I'm like, yeah, you are. Yeah. I'm like, well, like you can try, but I'm going to. And to have that, like everyone just backing themselves and each other, because in that environment there's no point actually, like there's more people that don't get through than do, like it means it's so weird. Manifest it, baby. Manifest your dream life. That's what I say. I'm just like curled up in a ball. What am I talking about?
So yeah, then I guess from there, like how was the finals?
It was crazy. I had so much fun. I got to pick my dates. So I went down a week before and a week after. Stayed with my dad.
It's all actually just a side note. It was really cool too because I remember before your heats, you're also like, if I win, you're planning your Melbourne trip if you won.
When you won,
yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
It'd be it's so cool because like it was just a little too serendipitous, but
yeah.
to get to the national final meant that I would get to see my dad, and then if I won that and I got to go to Edinburgh, that I get to see my sister because she's been living there for a year. But then we found out she's coming back for Christmas, so
Oh, awesome.
it's fine. So maybe I took my foot off the gas a little there, but yeah, I went to Melbourne and it was cool. I did a week before and a week after, so I had time to sort of adjust to the weather, time to hang out with family, and I saw heaps of shows. So it was like 15 in the first 5 days, and then another not quite 15. I bookended it really nicely. So we saw Furiosa the first night, and then the last night, Sweet Gemma Bailey was in town, and we were running around trying to see what we could see on the last night, and Gillian Cosgrove was doing an encore season of Actually Good. So she won Most Outstanding Show and the Gibbo last year for that show. So she did a return season, and we saw the last show of the return, and we spent the whole show just going, "Oh my god, that's so you," just like patting each other's knees. And then we went, "Oh no, okay, we do just look like the kind of people that this show is for." You put the two of us in a lineup with Gillian Cosgrove, people are like, "Ah." I'm like, we're the same person. That's fine. Saw that, and it was just so touching. It was like the show was made for us specifically. We had the best time, and we walked out holding hands like, do you want to not see anything else this festival? La 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 la, let's go get ice cream. That was perfect. What a nice bookend. And it was crazy. I figured I needed to be down there for longer because it was the only time I would be, the only festival for a while, if not ever, that I had an artist pass, no expenses, and no show to sell.
Oh, the dream.
I'm like, when the fuck is that ever going to happen again? That I don't have to worry about it. Like thankfully, my flights were paid for because when I got there, I had $200 to my name. I don't have heaps more than that right now. But like, if I'd had to pay for my flights, I wouldn't have been able to go. So I'm really, really grateful. I was staying with my dad, so I could do that. And then he works at a theatre in the city, so he'd finish at like 11 o'clock. And I'm like, I'm done seeing shows, la 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 la. And I could just get a ride home with my dad. So cool. And then the actual day came around, the 14th. So it was like a 10 o'clock call time, and my dad started work at about 11, so he dropped me in. I got to live there with my daddy. And I just, gave him a big squeeze outside Town Hall, went in, met everyone. And it was nuts. Like, it's like 1,300 people. The Town Hall fits. So we did a sound check kind of call where we all got up one by one, checked levels in the mic, and stood there in front of an empty theatre and went, okay, this is pretty cool. Not stressful at all. And then the night came and went. I'm really proud of how I did. I'm really proud of it. It was so much fun. You know when you've got a good crowd and the energy's fucking pumping.
I heard you had like multiple applause breaks.
Yeah,
right.
It was really cool.
Yeah, sick.
I'm really proud of it. But it's like I definitely feed off a crowd's energy, and it was the hottest crowd. Like, they were so nice. They were so into it. Like, the stalls, all the seats on the floor sell out before they announce the lineup, and it's just people who are stoked about comedy and stoked to see
like the next generation.
Next. Yeah, so like they came so that they can be like, oh, I saw them when. Yeah.
I think it's so cool that you like grew up recording the Raw finals.
Yeah, and
to then like go and be on one. Like, that's that's so.
It's nuts, right?
Yeah.
So it's pretty bonkers. Yeah, and it's like 1,300 people throwing a lot of love at you is a really cool feeling. And I just got to like suck all that up and have a really nice time. I remember hearing Nighty talk about this also on the pod.
Oh.
She did her research. Where like things that are a premise in Brisbane are a joke in Sydney.
Yeah.
And things that are a premise in Sydney are a joke in Melbourne. Yeah. Like, I found that, because we work hard to write, and everything that I've written has a tag, a couple of tags that I usually have to use. And the applause breaks came from people just laughing at the punchline for the first time in my fucking life. Like, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I'm like, that's where I always thought the laugh went, but they don't agree in Brisbane, so that's okay. So to get a laugh on that and then get to tag it and have that still be really funny is like so much fun. But it was wild to be like, okay, my gear's working for me now. Like you fight your way through stuff in Brisbane. You fight pokies and like dog racing and shit.
Yeah.
Have people pay attention, and then you actually get to do it, and it's like, oh, you get to do it to a crowd that wants comedy.
Yep.
And you're like, oh,
and not
hell
just
yeah.
like at a hotel for dinner on a Friday night or something, and like, why the fuck is there someone on stage?
I did a gig on Thursday there were 6 comics, 2 punters.
Yeah, I've done that same gig with the same outcome.
It was awesome.
Yeah, I loved it too. It was fun.
It was like weirdly great. And then 2 more people turned up, and they were the bartender's best friends.
Hell yeah.
So, and because it was so quiet, she got to come and watch as well. So we actually had 5 by the end of the show. I suggested a cage fight, that we could just team up and fight, but they didn't want that. They almost outnumbered us, but we stood our ground. So sorry, that was just for contrast. Melbourne was amazing. I'm really proud of it. I can't wait to get that footage. I'm so excited to see it.
Yeah.
And also we don't know when it's airing.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty excited to shelve all of that gear for now. I've done it a lot. I know it works now. I'm really excited to shelve that, work on new stuff for a while, and then by the time it comes around to being aired, I'm like, oh, do I still like these jokes? I'm so scared. I'm scared that I'm not going to like them anymore. But I made 11 cool new friends and experienced the vibe of the festival, and it was so cool. It was crazy.
Did you end up doing the interview about the first joke? Like with your first joke, did you mention that to?
I don't think so. I didn't get to, because they interviewed me with Dylan from Melbourne, and they alternated who they asked the questions to. So I don't think I actually got to tell them. So it's not going to be on. I could do it on the pod.
Yeah, do it on the.
So
insider knowledge. No.
Hey, no, because the first joke I did in my raw set was, my mum always said, "You are what you eat," which means at some point I've eaten a tall, anxious woman that can't manage her finances, which is so much less funny in a conversation. But my mum, like I mentioned, my mum was a comic. She wrote that like 30 years ago, and it would have been in her raw set for the first raw if she hadn't been pregnant with me. And I got to do it at Town Hall, and she saw it. She came down.
She was there.
She came down for it. It's the first time my parents have been in the same room in a long time. Had to make sure it was a big room.
1,300 seater.
And they still ended up next to each other. Ah! No, it was very funny. But yeah, it's crazy. And it was just kind of a nice full circle thing, because a lot of her comedy career was in Melbourne as well. So there's not a lot of the rooms that, I don't think there's a single room left that she did. Like none of the rooms that she did exist anymore. But that's fine. Town hall, still town hall, baby.
Yeah.
Which is cute, I think. I don't know. She's so gassy. Yeah. Oh Lord! I'm like, what do you want to know about Melbourne?
Sorry?
What do you want to know? What do you want to know about Melbourne? I saw Groundhog Day. That was pretty cool.
The
musical.
I was gonna say the movie, but no.
Groundhog Day, the musical.
Sorry,
the movie, the musical. No, it was real good.
I didn't even know they turned it into a.
Yeah, it's Tim Minchin wrote the music, and
Okay.
the book was written by the guy who wrote the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty cool.
Sick.
You actually can't see it, because it's finished, and they only did Melbourne for some reason. But yeah, I got to see a lot of things and meet a lot of cool people, and then spend some time with people from interstate as well, because everyone's like, oh my God, it's Comedy Christmas, it's Comedy School Camp. And I'm like, yeah, it kind of is. Yeah. Everyone's just there, and it's nice.
Yeah, that's what I liked about Adelaide, was like running into people that I know from Brisbane.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of like, it is that holiday camp where like we're all in a different city, and I guess because it's like we're all kind of like, oh, this is kind of new and foreign to us, so we're kind of like, that's the familiarity there. Yes. So
absolutely. It was kind of nice to be like, because there's people that I've met when they've done runs in Brisbane. Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh no, I want to be friends with you. Yeah. And then I just get to see them in a cool new context. Like Kevin Jin, I met for the first time last year. Mm-hmm. And when I was in Sydney, and then he came to Brisbane and we hung out. And then I went to his wedding, and then we hung out heaps in Melbourne. And it's like, that's such a cool thing. That's a cool thing about comedy.
Yeah.
You just got like friends in every city. You can just pop down to Sydney and be like, oh, there's someone here I need to get a beer with. Go to Adelaide, you're like, oh, I gotta see that guy while I'm here. It's so nice. It's like the coolest way to make friends as an adult. Maybe not the coolest. I wouldn't recommend it
at this
to
point.
everyone.
It's the only way I know how to make friends.
Yeah, it's pretty wild, right? Because there's so many people that you're like, oh, we probably wouldn't have crossed paths if, you work at JB Hi-Fi, I work at Lush. We're in different shopping centres. Like, there was no way we would have crossed paths. But we both do this weird thing. We both have recreational panic attacks a couple of nights a week, and that's so nice that we can bond over that.
Yeah. And that's what I love about like being able to like go and see shows at like clubs and stuff. Even if it's by yourself, you're like, oh, I'm gonna run into people I know, and then it's gonna be a hang or whatever.
Yeah,
like, there's no like really going alone because you're gonna know people that are there, which is very nice.
It's kind of cool that there's no it's a little community. Oh, I'm so stoked for how that's gonna look. Ooh. Ooh. Oh God.
All right. So all the positivity and all that fun stuff. What's your worst bomb?
My worst bomb. It was 2020 COVID capacity Brisbane Powerhouse. So I think it's like a 400 seater. It was at COVID capacity, so it was half that, and they were all scattered around. I got very lucky. I got put forward to support Mel Buttle. Little Mel Buttle and friends. It was a bunch of great Brisbane comics. It was the first time I'd been in a room with, Mel and Kat Davidson, and I was so spooked. And I only had 5, and a lot of that 5 depended quite heavily on people having some kind of knowledge about the film Shrek, and that doesn't have a huge crossover with Mel's audience. So I just bombed my dick off in the biggest venue I'd done to date. I thought I was going to throw up beforehand. I was so nervous. And then I did what felt like quite badly. And then I disappeared again, and Ting had to come find me. Just like made sure I was okay. Such a sweetheart. Love her. Yeah, so that's the worst one. Just a series of people who had no idea what I was talking about. I did not have the skills or the gear to pivot or recover. And they were super disconnected as well. Like if you had a group of 3, you couldn't have anyone sitting in the 3 seats behind them, the 3 seats in front of them, or either side of them. So they were just, it was just this like patchwork crowd.
Yeah.
And audiences need to be close so that they like feel each other's laughs and it sort of trickles out. None of that. It was like, I thought I was going to die because I'm very dramatic and sensitive, but that I did think I was going to die. That was awesome.
Did that experience make you like change? Like, did that help you towards the next kind of gigs after that? Like, especially like in terms of like, oh, all right, maybe I need something.
Maybe I need to diversify a little.
Yeah, look,
I
like,
can't rely on everyone knowing about Shrek. No, I don't think I had the foresight at the time.
Yeah.
I didn't blame the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
Part of me was like, well, some of it's pretty based, and you could have given me something. You could have laughed at that, but they didn't. No, it was maybe it was kind of a stepping stone in terms of realizing not everyone's gonna love your gear.
Mm.
And also, yes, you should diversify jam. Like, don't rely on the Shrek stuff too hard. I think it made me it made me question some stuff. I probably took a big break after that, and I don't know, I did that, and then I did maybe like 2 gigs in 3 months because I was like shattered and thought I should quit and stuff. So, lol. How did your biggest bomb affect you? Heaps, actually. Yeah, I wanted to die and quit in that order. So that's, I mean, you know, we came back, we out here. Fuck it, we ball, and on and so forth. But yeah, it was bad. Bad. Oh well.
Happens.
It happens.
So I mean, you mentioned this earlier. Everyone asks you this, but what's next? And not even like in a general kind of sense. Like even if like you have, because I know you're working on a show.
Yeah.
For like July.
Yes.
So I just mean like any comedy plans.
Yeah.
Immediately or soon.
I was like, wait, which one are you talking about? I have so many plans, so many thoughts.
Yeah.
And some of those thoughts are plans. And some of those plans have motion behind them. What am I doing? Plotting D&D show.
Yeah.
So Dan Dennis and I bringing back a little D&D live show, co-DMing. Hopefully, and we're doing 6 shows from July, 1 a month, July to December. Limited run. We're just going to go, let's do a little campaign, and it's mostly so that we can play D&D with our friends. Yeah. And also make some content, have some fun, learn some stuff about what it takes to make that kind of show, because it sounds like fun. I've got a solo that I want to do, because after my grandmother died, like it's pretty crazy. Like when she was young, she went on a Euro trip with her girls, with like her best friend, her and her sister. Her sister passed away first. Then when her bestie died, we found this charm bracelet in all of her stuff, and it had a charm from every country they'd visited on that trip. And we're like, oh my God, we need to ask grandmother about these stories from their Euro trip. And then grandmother died. And so we just have this bracelet and no idea what happened on this fucking trip. And we're never going to know. Like all those stories are just gone. And we were like cleaning out my grandmother's house, and my mum was like, fuck, at least you won't have to do this at 62. I had to do some quick maths. I didn't want to age her up for this. She's like, at least you're not going to be like in your 60s cleaning out your mum's stuff. And I'm like, sorry, what? What do you mean? She's like, I'm not making it to 84. So my mum just being like, oh, you know, I've got maybe like a good, maybe 20 years in me. She's got like a bunch of stuff, like health stuff happening. But she's like, oh, I got maybe 20 years in me. I'm like, okay, cool. And I got really sad about the fact that even if I had a kid tomorrow, they're not going to have any like cool memories of my mum and all of her stories, like all her cool stories, they're never going to hear from her. Or if they do, they're not going to like get it. Like she's not going to tell them stories about how she was like dating DJs and stuff. She's not going to tell them the crazy party stories when they're 9. So they're not going to have any of that cool stuff. And anything that any future imaginary children of mine hear about my mum is going to have to come from me. So I want to write a show with her while she's around. Because she's got like heaps of material from being a comic for 10 years. So she's got a solo show that she did and everything. So I want to do a split bill, I guess, of half her gear, half my stories about her, or her stories that she's told me, and just build that into an hour.
Yeah, that's so sick.
And then film it and have that be like, that's the time capsule.
Yeah.
Is we have like me, cool and young, talking about my mum when she was cool and young, with mum involved, because I think telling stories about people when they can't, like about people you love when they can be involved, is a nice thing. And then even if I never have kids, I'll just have like a cool little special, and then like if I get to release it, then other people know how cool my mum is. Like that's sick. Yeah, that's so nice.
Even without the kids thing as a concept, it's really cool.
But it's just like she's too cool to not have a legacy, I think, and I am in a place to do something about that. So I think I have to. That's all. So that's in the back of my mind. I promise it'll be funny too. Like, like it is going to be funny. It's not just going to be like a weird home video of me being like, this is some stories about the time my mother was like, no. She grew up in Housing Commission in Clove Valley. Like, whatever. That is true. But like, it is true. But, you know, she's funny as shit. And it's been cool to like watch my friends meet her and stuff. God, that's another tangent. So yeah, what's next?
I've met her actually.
She's funny, right?
Yeah.
She's kind of rude.
Yeah, she's like, so she reminds me of my mum. She just says that my mum's the same same way.
Maybe it's generational.
Like
they just
so
say whatever they think.
Yeah, I might cut this part, but like I've taken my mum to shows and she's like, that person was shit. That person was shit.
Exactly.
And like that's it. And so when it's so funny. I was kind of like egging your mum on. I was like, oh, who else? And then you're like, don't encourage it. And it's so funny because I've been in your shoes and I would be, but because it wasn't my mum, I'm like, fuck it,
fuck it, we ball.
We ball.
It's so funny. We've definitely talked about this, but it is very funny. And it's just to have a mum with absolutely no filter. Like, she's, I don't know if you've seen Tiliotti Black has been putting up these beautiful little TikToker. I love her. Comedian. But has been putting these things up of like your out of touch parents or like your mum that, oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my, it's like watching I'm like, it must be generational. It has to be. I'm sorry, my shoes are on your couch. That's so rude of me. They're just nuts and they will just say whatever the fuck they want. They have no concept of it not being okay. It's so funny. Oh Lord. So yeah, I've got to write jokes for my mother. Because it's like a Ronan Keating album, I think, called Songs for My Mother, which is really funny. And I just like the idea of calling it Jokes for My Mother. That's funny to me and my mum, importantly. So I think that's cute. I don't know if I'm going to go back and do game design. I keep telling myself that I'm going to go back and study, but I don't know if I will. So we've got D&D shows. We've got that solo. I've got a recipe blog that I'm working on. because you know when you look up a recipe online and there's just a shitload of stuff at the start that you don't care about?
Yeah.
That's what I'm writing. I just think it's really funny to write like an Australian Gothic, like just write horror microfiction and put it at the start of a really easy recipe. That's deeply funny to me. So I'm working on that.
That's so good.
It's just as a writing exercise because I think it'd be funny if it went fully unnoticed on the internet as well.
Yeah.
I would be so fine with that. I kind of, part of me is like, I prefer it because I don't know if my writing's up to scratch at all, but I guess we'll find out. So recipe blog, and then I remembered the other day that there was a project I had in the back of my head that I might look at. It's crazy. It's crazy to just be like, oh, there's all this stuff. Also working on getting a diagnosis of something to see if I can just... I have all these thoughts, all these plans. I want to see if I can just take some drugs and be able to do them. That'd be pretty cool. Imagine being able to follow through on any of the things that you're genuinely excited about.
Yeah, I can't relate. I'm undiagnosed but not medicated.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
My plan is also to maybe get a job of some kind. I do have a pub job, but it's not enough of a job that I don't have to tell Centrelink what I'm doing every minute of every day. So I think I would like to maybe get a job. Would you do call center? Maybe, because I can get you a call center job. Oh, let's talk. We'll take it off the mic. Take it off air. That could honestly. Does it make you want to die? Not yet. No, okay. not this one. The other ones I've had, yes, but this one actually seems the best case scenario for call center stuff. Are they calling you? No, you're calls, or where are you making calls? I'm making call. I'll go into like it's not like cold calling. Okay, good. But we'll talk about it off mic. But yeah. Any other cold calling? He gets the list from a special website. I have done that though. I've done the digital marketing. It was awful. Oh god, so bad. We have your email address and access to your webcam. We have your family's phone numbers. Just doxing people for money. That could be a show. No, just on stage reading people's addresses. Oh my god! You just start doing crowd work, and you're like, "Hey man, yeah, what's your name? What do you do? That's crazy. Can I get your email? Yeah." Or you just like what is your CRN? Or you're kind of like it's like a power game where you already know the info, so you're filling in the crowd work for them. You're like, what do you do for work? Just kidding. I know that you. In the overtime, you just dox them. You could do. You could do bits of it. Like you could do like a low key version of that, especially if you're booking through. If you're booking through Eventbrite, then you already have their full name, their email, the last couple of digits of their credit card, I'm pretty sure. Like, sometimes they put their contact details in if they have an account. It's crazy. Yeah, I'd never do that, please. If I ever sell... Of course, I'm not going to actually do it. Yeah, we will never do that. You could cut that. You could edit that part about doxing people, very nice people that buy tickets to our shows. Maybe. Oh, that'd be pretty interesting. That'd be funny. Like you have all your, you have all the email addresses. And if someone doesn't laugh, if people don't laugh the whole show, you're like, man, what's your name? Great. And you just pull up the ticketing thing and you just like, you could just out them for not. People that heck... Just doxing audience. We're bringing a new... Heckle me, I will make your email address public, which I know isn't heaps, but it is just enough to be annoying. I will sign you up to Christian Mingle. I will. I'll do it. But then they'll get the verification code and stuff. But it'll be just annoying enough. Or you sign them up for like Mormon mailing lists and stuff. Yeah. That'd be amazing. We're just thinking of ways to fuck with the crowd. Ways to abuse beautiful paying customers' private information. Things that we would never do.
No, there's probably Eventbrite terms against this.
Oh, yeah. It's like you can use it for digital marketing. I'm like, what if my digital marketing was just really annoying? Like advertising other shows like this. And it's just like, my butthole. You should come. Yeah. And it's just spam. Just spam. We could probably edit that.
Probably.
That's good.
All right. Well, do we end it there?
I hate the idea of that.
Yeah.
Especially if the last bit isn't going to be in there.
Yeah.
The whole bit about doxing audience members.
Yeah.
We should probably... Honestly, that would be the most fun edit. It just cuts and then we're like, yeah, glad we got rid of that part about doxing our crowds. Anyway, this has been real fun, Peter. Thank you for having me in your home. Just a thumbs up to camera.
Freeze frame and it's like fades away.
Yeah. Like a John Hughes.
Yeah. Don't you
forget about me. Into the void. Beautiful. Have you got gigs coming up?
No. I'm doing the parlor next week.
Oh.
Yeah, I've never done. There's a sit down one in the valley. I
the gay
think.
one.
Maybe. I haven't done it yet. I don't know.
Oh, you're gonna be there. Not that funny. We both lost our minds. I've had so much coffee. So you got the parlor.
Yeah.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah. What do you have? What gigs?
Am I doing? I'm doing Bloodhound and the Walrus Club. I got them animal clubs tomorrow. You're losing it now too. I've broken you. I broke Peter down. It's been ages. It's been an hour and a half. Of course you're exhausted. What am I doing? Oh, that's last month. Tomorrow I've got those guys. And then the 18th, I'm doing the Powerhouse up late. So
sick.
It's a lovely little lineup show. I don't know who else is on it yet, but I'm really excited. It's next weekend is also Magic Round, so I mean you don't have to worry about it parking or anything, but just so you're aware, like it's gonna be fucked like right outside your door for like the whole weekend.
I didn't realize it was next week. I'm aware of a Magic Round, but I didn't realize it was so soon.
It's next weekend.
It always fucks my life up.
Sneaks up on you.
Yeah.
I'm working all of it at the pub. So pray for me. I'm working 9:30 a.m. to 9 p.m. And then I go home, shower, Uber to the Powerhouse, hopefully, if I can get an Uber from my house for a 10 o'clock call time.
Sheesh.
So I finish work at 9 and then I have to go. I'm really enjoying living that life. Yeah. I went and did a sit-down gig on my dinner break the other day.
I saw that, yeah.
It was awesome. I had fun. Yeah. I love the hustle. So that's what I'm up to.
Sick. Redemption arc at the Powerhouse.
Yeah. I think it's in a different venue, thankfully. I think it's on the Turbine platform.
Oh, is it like one of those like free shows?
And if it's where I think it is, then that would be where I saw my first stand-up gigs. Because I started going during uni. Oh my God. Yeah. I'm just wasting time on your podcast now.
No.
The first shows I saw were knockoff at the Powerhouse gigs because I would get a ferry. I'd take a friend from uni, we'd get a ferry to New Farm. And that's where I first saw like Michelle Acevedo, Sam Bowden. Like, I definitely would have seen like Lingard and Ryan Sim and stuff there. I have a note I found a note in my diary from 2015 that just said I'd had knockoff, like I was going. And then there was a note next to it that just said Ronnie Cheng, surprisingly good.
That guy
2015.
That guy's got something. He's going for.
I think this guy might be onto something. That's really. It's weird. It's pretty funny. And then 6 years later, he turned up at Brooklyn Standard.
Yep.
I was on. We thought he might be popping in, and I got off stage, and he was standing on the stairs, and just went, "Hey man, nice." I was like,
"That's sick." He's like, "Hey, surprisingly good."
I'm like, that's exactly what I said 6 years ago. So that's fun. I get to go do something at the Powerhouse. I get to go play.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Well, I guess on there before any more random riffs we do of our docs. Whoa!
We're not going to dox anyone.
All right. You just threatened to punch me.
No, I didn't.
You're always staunching me. You're always so aggressive.
Oh, I am always staunching. Jambi staunching. Okay,
Jambi staunching.
We got to wrap this up
All
because
right.
I've got to go beat Peter up for real.
Right. Well, thanks for coming on, Jam.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Hi. I'm just yelling into a hot mic on camera. Hello. He's keeping me against my will.